All right, let's talk about Unit 2, Lesson 1, which is solving multi-step inequalities. So our goal is similar to equations, and we still want to isolate the variable, which means get the variable alone. Now, warning. On inequalities, there is one rule that you need to be careful of, and it makes a big difference in your answer. So, when you multiply or divide by a negative number, the inequality symbol, it reverses. So if it was less than, it becomes greater than. If it was greater than, it becomes less than. And that's it. So we're going to be doing solving and graphing on number lines. So when you have the shading and the number line, you want to show what your solutions are. So there are different types of circles. So if we have a greater than or a less than, that means that our answer won't be included, so we need to use an open circle. And that kind of shows that it's the starting point, but it's not part of the answer. If we have a greater than or equal or a less than or equal symbol, we want to use a closed circle because the equal means we can include it. It is a solution. Now, the shading, since we're on a number line, we want to show all of our answers because there's more than one answer. So if it's greater than or equal, we want to shade all the numbers that are bigger. And this really is a rule if your variable is on the left. Otherwise, you're going to read your inequality backwards and shade it appropriately. If we have less than or equal, we want to shade all the numbers that are smaller, which is usually to the left. And once again, that is generally the rule if your variable is on the left, which I always like to switch my answer so I know it's correct. All right, so let's look at our first three examples. So first, we want to solve these inequalities. So if I look, I've got the 3 alone, and I need to combine the n values, just like we did with equations. So -5 plus 2 is -3n. I did not multiply or divide, so my symbol stays. Next, to get n alone, those are being multiplied, so I'm going to divide by -3 on both sides. Now, that is your warning. Since I'm dividing by a negative, I still get n, and I still get -1, but I need to switch that sign. So instead of a less than, this now becomes greater than. Now, my variable is on the right, so if I read this, I have to read it backwards. N is less than -1. So what I like to do is I like to just rewrite this. So then I know I'm going to graph it correctly. So I put n, notice the small point is by the letter, so I need to put the small point. We're not switching it, and I still have -1. So now we're going to go to our circles on our number line. So because I'm not equal, I'm going to use the open circle, and I go to -1, so that's going to be like my starting value. And then I need to shade all the answers that are smaller than -1. So smaller numbers are to the left, and you can just do it above the number line with an arrow, and that means that all of those numbers to the left are part of your solution. All right, let's look at our second example. So this one, our letters are on the left side, but once again, I'm going to put a -1, and I can combine my like terms. So -1 and -4 is -5, and I'm going to leave the right side alone. These are being multiplied, so we're going to divide. So remember, warning, I'm dividing by a negative. So instead of greater, I'm going to make this less. And that divided by -5 is 2. So I've solved it. So I notice I have an open circle on 2, and I need to shade all the values that are smaller. And that would be your graph. All right, example 3. there's a -4 that we need to distribute first. So I'm going to leave the 6, -4 times 6, -4 times 7. Keep everything else the same. So I'm going to combine these. 6 minus 28 is -22. My letter is on the left, so I need to move my numbers to the right side. So I'm going to add 22 to both sides. So -24n is greater than 144. And then my last step, those are being multiplied, so I want to divide both sides by -24. So 144 divided by -24 is -6. I did divide by a negative, so I reverse my symbol. Now, because I have the bar, that's going to be a closed circle because I can include -6 as one of my answers. So I go to -6 and I just fill that circle in. And then this is also less, so I'm going to shade to the left. All right, let's look at our last two examples. So they just get a little longer. I'm going to combine. I get -7. So now you get to decide. Since I like my letters on the left, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to move the 7x to the left side. So I'm going to add 7x. Then I don't have to do it at the end. So we get -7 plus 1x is greater than -11. So now I need to move my number to the right side. So we're going to add 7. So x is greater than -4. I never divided or multiplied by negative, so I don't reverse my symbol. So we're going to go to -4. We have an open circle. And I need to shade all the numbers that are bigger, which is to the right. So make sure on your homework, I can clearly see what is being shaded and what type of circle you have. All right, our last example, we have a 3 to distribute first. So 3p minus 9 okay. So I'm going to go ahead and combine my p's on the left since they're on the same side. And then same thing. I'm going to go ahead and I like moving my letters to the left side. So we're going to add 3p. And then add 9. So p is greater than 0. So I go to 0 and I shade all the way to the right.